Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I believe there's a certain amount of Americana wrapped around ghost stories. The different immigrants and the different cultures that came here to America, they all had different versions of their ghost stories, and when they came to America, they brought those stories and those traditions and beliefs with them. And I think most small towns have at least one or two, at least in my experience, of different stories that people told and shared. And when I was young, my mother, she even read me some ghost stories. And the ones in particular that stick in my mind were the ones that came out of the Foxfire books. I believe it was Foxfire #5. I remember her reading me the ghost stories from the mountain people in Appalachia that they wrote down in those books. So it's a cultural thing, ghost stories here in America with the different immigrants. I remember one particular one from around here when I was growing up. People claimed that there was a specter in one of the woods around here, and half the people said it was true, and the other half said, well, the ones that seen it, they were just drunk. So there was a little bit of back and forth and kind of teasing and I guess getting on folks that believed in that kind of stuff. But there was one particular story that I remember. It came from my mom's friend Mary, and Mary was I guess one of the most solid examples of what I would call an old-timer today that I ever knew. When Mary said something, that was legit, and she was just a wealth of information of the different skills and different things and stories that came out of her life. And one of the things that my mom would always do is she would go visiting, like most of the old folks did back then. They would go visiting, and Mom, of course, she would drag me along. And I remember this particular night. It was a cold winter night, and Mom went over to Mary's and took me along. And it was the usual coffee or coffee cake or tea and cookies or whatever. And they sat and they talked to the wee hours of the morning. And me, being an 8-9-year-old kid, I was bored off my ass, and I just had to try to, keep myself entertained. Well, they chatted. And I remember my mom and Mary that particular night, they got on the subject of ghost stories. And Mary had a story that she told my mom that I remember listening to, all wide-eyed like the kid I was, at the time. And what this story was is Mary said there was a young couple, and they were expecting a baby, and they were looking to buy a farm. And they did buy a farm in an old farmhouse that was east of the town where we live in. And them being expecting with a baby, they wanted to fix one of the rooms up for the youngin', for a nursery. And back then, people didn't paint rooms. They put up wallpaper. And that's what this young couple did, is they got wallpaper, and they picked one of the rooms up upstairs, and they put wallpaper up. And the very night that they had finished putting wallpaper up in that room, they heard a hell of a racket up in that room. And of course, they went up there and looked in the room, and all the wallpaper that they had put on the walls was off the walls, was tore down. Everything was tore down, and they didn't know what to think. So they thought it was just some kind of fluke or something, so they went and got more wallpaper and did it again, put wallpaper up in that room. And as soon as they had it done again, they heard a hell of a racket up there. They went up there, and all that wallpaper was torn off the walls. And this happened 3 different times. They did it another time, and it happened 3 times. And they were scared shitless. They didn't know what to think. And they started asking around and talking to people they knew, we don't know what's going on. And some people they talked to said, you need to talk to some of the old Germans that came over on the boat. Maybe they got some idea what to do with this. And they did just that. They looked they looked up some of the old ones around there, and they went to them and they said, hey, what do we do here? We got this room, and every time we put wallpaper up in it, we hear a hell of a racket, and everything's tore down off the walls. And some of the old Germans that they talked to, they said, did anything happen in the rest of the house? And they said, no, it's just that one room. And they were real specific. They said, you didn't notice or see anything in any other part of the house or anything? And they said, no, it was just the one room that we had picked out that we wanted for the baby to go in. And the old Germans told them that room's got a poltergeist in it. And if you don't know what a poltergeist is it's a German word, German term for a noisy or knocking spirit or ghost. And the old Germans told this young couple, you need to board that room up and never ever go in that room. No matter what happens, you never go in that room again. And seeing what they've already seen, this young couple did just that. They boarded that room up and closed it all off, boarded everything up so nothing could go in or out of that room. And after they did that, for 4 nights, they heard just a terrible racket in that room that sounded like a hurricane. Just a howling and a whirling and noise and stuff knocking around. That went on for 4 days. And finally, after the 4th day, it stopped. It quit. And it never ever came back. And that couple lived in that house a really long time. And Mary said that she was actually in that house and she seen that boarded up room when she was younger. And of course, when she was telling this story, it had already been, she was quite old at the time. And that's what the old Germans told her. You told them, you board that room up and you never go in that room. No matter what you hear, you don't ever go in that room ever again. And that's what they did. So that's the story that Mary told that night. And when we went home that night, I was as wide-eyed as a kid could be. I probably didn't sleep for 3 days after I heard that story. And knowing that it came from her, there was a certain amount of it was legit, because Mary didn't BS people at all, at least from my experience, what I had seen. But I thought I'd take this little time here and share that story that I heard when I was a kid for you guys for Halloween. Just sharing some of that Americana here that I heard. Keep that story alive, kind of dedicate this this video here to my mom's good friend Mary, whom I learned a lot of stuff from. So anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys get a little information and a little entertainment out of my videos. And happy Halloween to you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this story. You guys take care.